at this lab station, before we do use the centrifuge, we need to make some sort of fine solid called a precipitate. So to do that, I'm going to use this calcium nitrate compound, which contains calcium ions. Put a few drops in that well plate. And to that, I'm going to add some of the carbonate ion found in a sodium carbonate solution. And when I mix those two together, we get this cloudy white substance called a precipitate. So the chemical reaction occurring here would be right here. So we've got calcium nitrate, sodium carbonate reacting to form a clear solution of sodium nitrate and this cloudy white precipitate called calcium carbonate. So we could use density separation, and eventually that solid precipitate would rain to the bottom of the well plate. Because those particles are so small, that's going to take a fair amount of time. So then what we'll do is we'll put that in the centrifuge. And that should separate a lot faster. I'm going to go ahead and make my second precipitate. For this second precipitate, I'm going to use a lead ion solution and an iodide solution. So I'll add a couple drops of the sodium iodide, the lead nitrate. And I'll add a couple drops of the sodium iodide. You can see it instantly forms this bright yellow precipitate called lead iodide. Again, that is a solid forming at the molecular level. So we've got these very small microscopic particles that would eventually settle out on the bottom of the well plate. But that's going to take gravity a long time to separate those. So if we come over here to the centrifuge, I'm going to open it up. In one test tube, I made a lot more of the lead iodide precipitate, and I made a lot more of the calcium carbonate solution. You can see it's all mixed in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the centrifuge to spin that very quickly. This is where you want to make sure all loose hair is tied back. Plugged in. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on for a couple minutes. It is important that we balance them correctly. You'll see that I separated them opposite to each other. If you would have 3 test tubes, you would want to have them separated in a triangular format. You can see all the different balanced formats you could use in your lab package, but because we just had 2, I separated them in a linear fashion. Alright, that's probably good enough. So I'm going to turn it off. Before I open it, I am going to want to unplug it. And before I open it, again, I'm going to wait for it to stop spinning. Alright, so if I take the first one out, you can see that the spinning separated all of that solid down towards the bottom there. If we let it spin a lot longer, more of that solution would be clear at the top and all of that yellow would be down here at the bottom. So it's basically density separation, but the centrifuge speeds it up, just like your washing machine and dryer at home. If we take a look at the calcium carbonate, there's that little white pellet down at the bottom. And again, that spinning action is what flung that to the bottom of the centrifuge tube.